Yes, folks, it's Tales from the Jails, John G. Sutton. Do please like and subscribe. It really, really helps this channel, and we're trying to promote it, so you should click down there, and that will help very much. I'm going to talk today about the BBC Strangeways documentary that was screened in 1980. It was filmed in 1979, and the director was Rex Bloomstein, yeah. And specifically I've had questions asked about this, and the questions asked concerned episode 2, The Allegation, which was part 2 of, I think it was an 8-part or 9-part series about Strangeways. And it contained a segment in which an inmate was charged with breach of good order and discipline, contrary to the rules of the prison service, for taking slices of bread beyond the accepted ration. I think it was 4 slices or 2 slices, and he was advised by this particular officer that he must not do that. He must only take his ration, and the following day did the same thing again. So he was charged with breach of disciplinary orders and placed before the governor, where I think the sentence was 7 days non-associated labour. So that meant that he was going to get time down the block. And soon enough, because he was intellectually subnormal, he hadn't really understood the implications of his actions. And it reminded me a little bit about the time that, the reports I've read about early Victorian court sentencing, where people would be sent to Australia and all over the place, transported, or lengthy prisons, working on hard labour in the jails for things like stealing rabbits and hares or pheasants from the land of the Lord of the Manor. This guy lifted some extra bread slices and found himself in front of the governor, where he got 7 days extra. And if you watch The Allegation, this rather hefty, big jailer guy, it almost seems as if he's intimidating this inmate. And at the end of the segment, you see the inmate being dragged away. He has his clothes ripped off him, and he's thrown stark naked into an empty cell. And the final part is where he's banging his plastic piss pot against the window and shouting all hell against the system. You can sympathise with that. I mean, we surely should be more civilised in our treatment of individuals, but the problem is, of course, they've shut all the main psychiatric units down. All the main ones have closed, but the people are still the same percentage of people who are effectively incapable of maintaining themselves within society, and they end up in places like Strangeways, because there's no place in the psychiatric units. And in Strangeways, they can't function in the prison society, just like they couldn't function in ordinary society, on the out. So they're bound eventually to come up against somebody like that big jailer. Now, there's a strange thing about that big jailer. Shortly after he'd been on television with all this nonsense, charging this guy and effectively getting him extra time in prison and thrown down the block, he was quite quickly promoted and he became a principal officer at Armley Jail, I believe. But surely in society people must have ostracised him, because it clearly showed who he was. But nonetheless, that happened, and it happened all the time. I mean, you would give people direct instructions, and because they just couldn't quite comprehend the problems that they faced if they didn't follow the instructions, they would effectively get themselves charged against good order and discipline. I tried to explain to them generally, listen, take your time. I know it's not very popular with you, but if you don't do this, there's going to be action. Not necessarily from me, but there will be action, and you'll get yourself on the wrong side of somebody who's going to stick you in the block. And of course it should never be. Society should deal with the people who are inadequate. People who are socially inadequate shouldn't be thrown into prison. But that's the way it was. And that's the answer to the allegation, which is Series 2 of the BBC series Strangeways. It's available on YouTube. Have a look. And that's what happened to the big guy, the big prison officer. He was quickly promoted. But I suspected something was amiss with that guy at the start, because round about 1980, shortly around about that time that documentary was being made, he was attempting to befriend me, which I thought was a bit odd, because I didn't really know him. He was a relatively new addition to the staff. But he was trying to befriend me, oh, come on, John, we'll go and have a drink together, and this, that, the other. Why? I mean, I don't mind a drink. I do. I like a drink with my wife. I quite happily do that. I've got a bar at the back of the house behind where I'm sitting. It's not a bar, it's just a little room we sit in and have a drink, And I'm quite happy doing that. I'm safe, but actually going out drinking with people I don't know, not for me. So I didn't let him get too close. But I suspect that he was kind of spying on me. Because at the time, during the late 70s, early 80s, the rumour being put round by the Prison Officers Association and the management, which was one and the same thing half the time, was that I was funded by Colonel Gaddafi, the leader of the Libyan Revolutionary Army, and that he was sending me money to disrupt the British prison service. What an absolute load of nonsense, an insult to the intelligence of most. But hey, the jailers swallowed it, and they refused to follow me when I tried to lead them away from a trade union that was run, managed, and represented the management, the Prison Officers Association, run by chief officers and principal officers, for chief officers and principal officers, but the vast majority were basic grade prison officers who, in their stupidity, thought that by putting in managers, they would ingratiate themselves and climb up the slippery pole of promotion. No chance. The song dinger. The way up the pole of promotion was to join the Masons. And that's what happened. Anyway, I'm now going to sing you a song here. This is originally by Leonard Cohen. Are you sitting comfortably? This is the future. And it probably is the future, actually. Give me back my broken night, my mirrored room, my secret life. It's lonely here, there's no one left to torture. Give me absolute control over every living soul, and lie beside me, baby, that's an order. Give me crack and anal sex, take the only tree that's left, and shove it up the hole in your culture. Give me back the Berlin Wall. Give me Stalin and St. Paul. I've seen the future, brother, and it's murder. Things are gonna slide. Slide in all directions. Won't be nothing you can do. Nothing you can measure anymore. The blizzard of the world has crossed the threshold, and it's overturned the order of the soul. There you go. That's The Future by Leonard Cohen. There's a bit more to it, but I don't think we'll bother with that, eh? What do you think? Yeah. Is that the future? Probably is. Right, where are we now?